Thank you, Father Julio. At this time, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Richie Montaleno.
Thank you. Hi everybody, how are you? Morning. I'm going to face the flag so that I can do the Pledge of Allegiance properly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Richie. We are honored to welcome today two leaders who can. It is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Richie Montaleno, a Vietnam combat veteran, author, and advocate for veterans in recovery. Richie's book, A Sailor's Story from the Vietnam War, shares his journey from a 19-year-old draftee in 1966 to his service in the jungles of Vietnam, and now his mission of helping homeless veterans and others in recovery. Please join me in welcoming Richie.
Thank you so very much, thank you. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of my story, which my book tells it all, but I'm going to talk about my recovery. And as everyone knows, for recovery, you need two things. You need desire to recover, and you need help. And the help can come in many different forms. It can come in your family. Okay. It can come in your family, it can come in your priest, it can come in therapy, it can come many different ways. But you need both. You need help, and you need desire. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about Vietnam. Most of you probably don't even know much about Vietnam, but I know a lot about Vietnam. When I was 19 years old, I was drafted, and I went into the Army, and I came from a family that came from Italy, and I literally didn't know anything. I was just kept in a bubble. And boy, what a rude awakening it was, being in the Army and getting up in the morning at 4:30 and running and doing all these crazy things and going through all the training and everything. And then within 6 months, I find myself in the country of Vietnam that I never even heard of, and I didn't even know where it was. And I'm sure that most of you don't even know that Vietnam has a lot of crazy things that you got to deal with. It has elephants, tigers, panthers, snakes, insects like you've never seen in your life, and of course, the enemy, the Viet Cong. And one of the things that I had after being there a while was a tremendous respect for the Viet Cong, because they lived underground in the tunnels, and I was in the tunnels. They ate dried fish. They drank water that you guys wouldn't even wash your feet in. And they fought with ferocity. They were unbelievable. They didn't have shoes. They wore short things. They didn't have anything, but they did have AK-47s. And that's a weapon that can rip you to shreds. I was in the tunnels of Cu Chi. My base camp was in Cu Chi, Vietnam. It was the 25th Infantry Division, and they came over on a ship and they built a gigantic base camp in Cu Chi without knowing that there were 200 miles of tunnels underneath that were built in the 40s and 50s to fight against the French. They built the complex with a helipad, an air pad, all kinds of units, my unit, artillery, a hospital, everything that you could possibly need right on top of the tunnel. And every night, they'd come up out of the tunnels, throw satchel bombs, open up with AK-47s, shoot at you, kill you, do whatever they could. Luckily, most of the time, I'm out in the jungle. I'm out in the jungle, and one of the things that we had to do was go on ambushes all the time. Now, you're out all day long, and now you're going to go on an ambush, and you got to stay awake. So what do you think the Army gave you? Amphetamines. They called them psychic energizers. They were amphetamines. And every single field medic had morphine. So now you could buy pot from anybody in Vietnam, because all of the people that lived in Vietnam sold pot. You could get amphetamine from the Army. You could get, not really heroin, but, you know, morphine from the medics. We had plenty of booze. There was always booze. There was always beer. Valentine Beer gave beer free to the veterans, I mean to the combat guys. They would fly it out in helicopters, drop it down to you, and if you had connections, you got ice. I had connections, so I got ice. So now you're out in the field, you're out in the jungle, you're drinking, you're smoking pot, you could do amphetamines, you could do morphine. You're home. It's just like being here. But what it does to you is it begins to destroy your life. Because one day you're done, and one day you're coming home, and you have to face everybody, and you have to do all the things that you have to do. And you have PTSD most of the time if you're a combat veteran. So sleeping is difficult, so you take pills to sleep. Staying awake is difficult, so you take pills to stay awake. You don't want to think about any of the things that you had to do, because who the hell wants to kill somebody that you don't even know? Certainly not me. But if you don't, they'll kill you. So I came back from Vietnam. I had a brand new car sitting in the driveway, a brand new GTO that I bought. At the PX, you could buy a car in Vietnam. You could buy it and have it delivered to your house. So I had a car. And then I started to meet all my old friends again, and they're all doing LSD and speed and all kinds of other things. And before you know it, I'm doing all of that. And then I started doing the worst one. You know which one that is, heroin. And I got myself addicted. And it took me a long time to get off. There's many ways to stop doing drugs. I chose the methadone maintenance program, which worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for me. And of course, at that particular time, I had met my wife, who's sitting back there, who, without her help, believe me, I wouldn't be up here today. We've been married 51 years, so she's seen all the things I go through. Even my kids, you know, they know all about everything that I had to suffer from. They used to say to me, they say to Mom, "Hey Mom, why is today's Memorial Day? Why is Daddy sitting in the corner crying?" Because I'm remembering. I'm remembering what happened. And once I stopped using drugs, I was able to be successful in life, which is one of the things that all of you want to do. And anybody can be successful in life if you want to. It's the same thing as stopping doing drugs or alcohol. You have a desire to stop. You find a way that works for you. You got Narcotics Anonymous, you got all the other things. And what happened to me was once I stopped doing the drugs, I didn't stop having PTSD, and I didn't really know what PTSD was. And I started to understand that it is something that controls you, and you have to find a way to control it. So I traded all the drugs and alcohol and all of that for gambling. It's the same thing. So now I'm going to Atlantic City, and I'm blowing, I blew hundreds of thousands of dollars. I had my own business, I had furniture stores, I did, you know, it was just crazy. So I did what any smart person would do. I went to Gamblers Anonymous. And I spent like 10 years in Gamblers Anonymous. And somehow or another, things started to change in my life. Things were getting better and better and better. And I began helping other people. So that's what I do now. I work with veterans. I try really hard to get them disability. I have a program that I was taught by someone who got to 100%, and I use that program to help these veterans. A lot of times, they don't want help, and it's hard to get them to do what you need to do. Because if you don't follow the program that I have, you're not going to get to 100%. And these guys need it. 100% is $50,000 a year tax-free for life. Who the hell wouldn't want that, right? And in the state of New Jersey, your property taxes are waived. You don't pay them ever again. So it is really a great thing to get a veteran to 100%. But a lot of times, they say the same thing to me. I don't deserve it. Let somebody else get it. I don't want to take it away from people. You're not taking it away from anybody. The money is there. All you people pay taxes, and that's where the money comes from. It comes from the federal government. They deserve it. They don't get it. I try really hard to help them, but sometimes it's just a waste of time. I just can't get them to understand that they got to follow the program and that they do deserve it. And I never give up. I've never given up on anything my whole life. I've been retired now for, I don't know, 17 years. And all I do is spend my time traveling with my wife, selling my book, and of course helping veterans. Any veteran that needs help, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help them. I don't have to work, so I have time to spend doing whatever is necessary to help. Sometimes it gets pretty hard because some of these people are in such bad shape. They're losing their house. They're thinking about suicide. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide. So many veterans have problems from Agent Orange, which is a chemical that they sprayed all over Vietnam into the jungles to get rid of the jungle. And it would. 48 hours later, they come out with roam plows and run everything through the jungle, and there'd be nothing left. You could see all the tunnels. So they would take a machine that blew colored smoke out and put this machine into the ground, and you'd see where all the smoke comes out in the plate, and you could go find all the entrances and drop grenades in and kill all these people. Again, people that I didn't even know. I certainly didn't want to kill them. And that's one of the things that you have to think about. You have to think about that, and that's called PTSD. And PTSD will control your life if you don't let go of it. You have to let go of it. It will eventually dissipate enough for you to lose your life. But if you fight it, you lose. So I have to teach these guys all of these different things that I've already been through, so I know what it is. I know what it's like. And it's very difficult, but you got to do it. I had no idea what it was. I didn't even know, I never even heard of PTSD. Until one day I was walking through Newark, and I was all messed up, and not drugs, just craziness, just spinning around in my head. I was gambling like crazy. And a Marine came out of a place where they sign Marines up, and he saw me, he says, "Come inside and sit down." He said, "Were you in the Army or the Navy or the Marines?" I said, "I was in the Army." He said, "Were you in Vietnam?" I said, "Yes." He says, "You know what your problem is?" I said, "No." He said, "You have PTSD from combat. And you have to do something about it or you will never make it through life." And that's when I began working at my program to get rid of the gambling addiction, and found a way to work the PTSD out of my life. It makes you shake. You can't go in an elevator. You can't go in a plane. You can't go into a shopping center because you're shaking all the time and you got to go outside and sit down. The minute there's people all around you, you can't deal with them. You don't know what to do. It's very hard. So I just want to make sure that any veteran that needs help, I want to help you. I can help you, and I will help you. So with that, I'm going to close, and I hope that everybody here follows the program to get themselves recovered. It's the simplest thing in the world to do, but the hardest thing to keep going. So you got to pray, you got to think toward goals, and eventually you can be like me. I travel around in my RV with my wife. I have kids, I have grandkids. I can do anything I want, whenever I want. And if I was still doing drugs, alcohol, and gambling, I wouldn't be doing any of it. Thank you very much. Oh, there's my wife. she wants to tell everybody that in the back over there, you can purchase my book. It's called Less Than a Hero, A Fight for Life. And it's the story about how I survived combat in Vietnam and the things that I did to survive. And there's 20 pages of pictures, and a percentage of every book goes to homeless veterans. We use Tunnels to Towers and some other organizations, but Tunnels to Towers is the best organization to give money to. They use it all. They don't keep money for themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richie.